And it's Ken Kreitzer for CBSI Services. We're at the And Then conference in Los Angeles and had a chance to meet one of our friends, Jonathan Margulies from the Winterberry Group, who we get a chance to meet with their colleague Bruce Beagle every year at the New York Direct Marketing Club. But Jonathan, you were highlighting a new paper today, a deeper dive on what it means to be a data-centric organization. What was the project about, and what were some of the highlights you came up with?
So we've worked closely with DMA and the Interactive Advertising Bureau for a number of years on a variety of different research projects that focus on understanding more about how companies are using data and what innovations are sort of driving their investments in the way they do business. One of the themes that comes back regularly is the notion that even as their tactics and their investments with respect to data have evolved over the years, there are more sweeping initiatives that are changing sort of the way that companies do business. Essentially, there's a data-driven revolution of sorts that's afoot among many enterprise businesses and even those at the middle market or smaller businesses as they attempt to be more responsive to all the customer data at their disposal. We thought that this was as good a time as any to go out there and understand more about whether that's happening, how it's happening, and to the extent that perhaps that transformation is not yet complete, get a better sense of what kind of help, what kind of opportunities these marketers want to capitalize on over the next few years, both so that the associations, DMA and IAB, can be of more service, and that hopefully we can trade off of some of the best practices and learnings that folks have achieved thus far. The good news, I guess you could say, is that that going-in thesis was certainly validated, that there is, in fact, sort of a sea change happening in virtually all vertical markets right now, as organizations attempt not just to pivot their marketing to be more data-centric, but essentially every facet of their customer-facing enterprise. And what we learn likewise is that even though those initiatives are sweeping and nearly universal, they're very, very early in terms of their impact and in terms of essentially their ability to deliver results across the entirety of the enterprise. That's something we expect to change somewhat over the next few years.
And you and your colleagues were talking a little bit about how looking at the findings of this report may cause some companies to look at how they change their organization, try to eliminate some silos where groups are working independently, and to try to, as we say, become a little more customer focused, customer experience focused based on the data. What will readers see in the report when they take a look?
I think that there's a few black and white conclusions that may not be of tremendous shock value to marketing practitioners and others who wrestle with these day in and day out, but nevertheless I think are extremely helpful to see validated, particularly when you think about the work that a lot of folks in senior marketing roles need to do to get other stakeholders in their organizations aligned with the need for transformation. You mentioned silos, for example. Silos are the notion that organizations are sort of sustaining these outmoded organizational structures because they were there first, but aren't in any way sort of conditioned to help use data to its full potential. A major issue, and something that I think represents just an everyday concern to marketers, but recognizing that it may actually be a source of value seepage, lost opportunity, is going to be really helpful. Same with the notion of what we're seeing as a huge talent gap, particularly around customer analytics. The notion that more trained analytics professionals are clearly necessary, but also training others in the marketing department and elsewhere in the organization to be more adept with using data and deriving even simple insights from that use is a huge priority, and something that leaders in the market are beginning to do. If you're not a leader, that's not something that's already part of your active agenda. Making it part of your tactical approach in the future is really important. What we aim to do here is sort of give those folks the tools they need to prioritize their investments and make better business cases for all of the various elements, technologies, supply chain relationships, and elsewhere that are going to sustain their data-driven transformation over the next few years.
Yeah, absolutely. Now, just tell us a little bit about your company, the Winterberry Group. I know you do a lot of interesting research and studies for your clients.
Yep. So Winterberry, we're a boutique strategy consulting firm. We're based in New York, and we work exclusively in and around the disciplines of marketing and advertising. Core of our business, going back many years, and really the area where we developed a lot of the insights that feeds much of this research, is in consulting to the supply chain. So agencies, data companies, ad technology, and others. For them, we're essentially we provide guidance in corporate strategy and growth. How is your market changing? Where are the opportunities coming? We work with firms, both small and very, very large global enterprises. And it's useful because from a learning perspective to research like this, because we get a good sense of what kind of innovations are coming from the supply chain, and how third parties, if you will, to the practice of marketing are helping sustain growth and innovation in marketing. We work with large brands as well, financial services companies, media companies, retailers, and the like, where our focus is less on sort of that 40,000-foot corporate strategy and more on transforming how the marketing department uses things like data and technology to their advantage. I have a vested interest in this research, as you might imagine, because we have long seen this challenge out there. The fact that transformation is no longer a nice to have thing, but something that all organizations are going to need to do. We certainly aim to help large brands in their efforts to do it. Every brand's different in how they articulate the need. Some look at it as a means of becoming more digital. For some, it's becoming more data centric. Others will define it in terms that are entirely of their own making. But the need is consistent, universal. We work with financial investors, folks that are investing into the marketing world and want to understand more about where the opportunities are evolving. And then certainly we do quite a bit of research like this, working in conjunction with trade associations and independent sponsors, but only in areas where we think there's white space and there's a need for good, concerted, sort of objective, point of view driven insight to make these better business decisions. And this is just a great opportunity for us, and hopefully we can help advance the learnings of the folks who are out there in the field doing this hard work.
Absolutely. And the paper, again, is from the DMA, a deeper dive into what it means to be a data-centric organization. I'm sure that will be available through the DMA and their website. Jonathan, thank you so much. Say hi to Bruce for us, and thank you so much for telling us about this paper that your organization and the DMA have been working on. Pleasure to see you.
Yep, thank you, Ken. Appreciate it.
That's great. This is Ken Kreitzer for CBSI Services at the And Then DMA conference in Los Angeles.